Sex is the life force energy that runs through us all. Can you use sexual energy for your spiritual evolution? Or perhaps for emotional healing? Is it even possible? Clinical sexologist Dr. Martha Tara Lee will explore all these and more on Eros Evolution on Om Times Radio.
Welcome to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. This is Dr. Martha Tara Lee. I'm a clinical sexologist based in Singapore. I work with clients who have sexuality issues, questions, inhibitions, and anything relating to sexuality actually. And I'm very happy to be the host of Eros Evolution. I've been doing this show for about a year now, and for the second time today, we have Charlie Glickman. And we're going to be talking about awesome anal sex. That's the title of today's show. Anal play is becoming more popular than ever. And if you want to do it right, you need to know what to do and what not to do. And in brackets, hint, don't copy what you see in porn. Sex and relationship coach Charlie Glickman, who has a PhD, is an anal expert, and he has lots of tips today to share with you. Whether you want to be the giver or the receiver, he'll make sure you have the information you need to make your anal play awesome. And he's pretty awesome. If you look at his work, he always produces really awesome content. Everything that he comes out with is gold. Okay, so more about Charlie Glickman. He is a relationship and sex coach. As I mentioned, he's a sexuality educator, a sexological body worker, and an internationally acclaimed speaker. He's been working in this field for over 25 years, and some of his areas of focus include sex and shame, sex positivity, queer issues, masculinity and gender, communities of erotic affiliation, and many sexual and relationship practices. Charlie is also the co-author of The Ultimate Guide to Prostate Pleasure, Erotic Exploration for Men and Their Partners. You can find out more about him by going to his website, charlieglickman.com, and that's GLICKMAN.com, or on Twitter and Facebook. And if you are interested in Charlie's sex coaching and sexological body work services, you can go to another website of his, makesexeasy.com. That's easy enough to remember. So welcome to the show, Charlie.
Thank you, Martha. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So the first time you were here, you were talking about getting the sex you want, and listeners will be able to listen to that show as well by doing a quick Google, Eros Evolution at a Glance, and in that page, I list every single episode, so you can definitely find Charlie's interview quickly and easily. So, today we're talking about anal sex. So, before I even ask you anything about anal sex, what do you want to say about anal play?
You know, the most important thing about anal play is that it's not just for women to receive. Everybody has the same kinds of nerve endings, the same kinds of erogenous zones. So the tips I'm going to be talking about work for everybody of any gender, and just because you're a guy doesn't mean that you can't enjoy it too.
Yes. And there are a lot of sexual inhibitions around anything in that area, because I get people saying, "Oh, I don't want to be gay. I don't want to be addicted to it." Have you received this kind of comments before?
Oh, absolutely. When we wrote the Ultimate Guide to Prostate Pleasure, one of the questions that we asked in our survey was, what were some of the concerns that kept you from trying this? And there were three that showed up over and over again. Two of them come up for people of any gender. They are, is this going to hurt? And is this going to be messy? But when we're talking about prostate play, we also have men saying, is this going to make me gay? Is this because I'm gay? Does this mean something about my masculinity? And this is a really interesting point, because a few years ago, they surveyed over 2,000 gay men about their sexual experiences. And it turns out that gay men have anal intercourse only about 37% of the time. So the common myth that what gay men do looks like what heterosexual people do just isn't true. I mean, imagine if, heterosexual couples only had intercourse 1/3 of the time, and you can see what I mean. And the fact is, it's not like gay and bisexual men are born with special nerve endings that make them enjoy anal play. It's something that anybody can enjoy, or they might not enjoy. But it's not because of your gender. It's not because of your sexual orientation. It's just because that's how your body happens to work.
Okay. So the 3 concerns to try anal play includes it will hurt, number 1. 2,
Right.
messy. 3, it will turn me gay.
Exactly.
Okay, great. Got it. That's wonderful to know. So this survey that you did, how many people did you interview?
Let's see. Our survey, we got over 200 people, both men and partners of men. So we got a pretty wide range of folks who were interested or who answered our questions. So I think it's a pretty good representative survey.
Yes, I would agree. When I was studying to be a sexologist, what I learned was anything that's above 100 is a good sample size.
Yeah, especially when we're talking about sex.
Yeah, and 200 is still a lot of work.
Yeah,
And so we're talking about anal play, and how would you introduce someone to it?
Well, you mean like how does somebody ask a partner to try it?
How to start, like an idiot's guide.
Okay, idiot's guide. Well, so the first thing is to find out if your partner actually wants to, because I don't think we should ever surprise people with anal play. A lot of people carry a lot of fear about it. There's a lot of shame about it. There's a lot of reasons why people don't enjoy it. So rather than surprising someone, I think it's really good to find out in advance. And one way you could do that, you could say to your partner, honey, I was listening to this podcast all about anal play. It's something I've always wanted to try. What do you think? Is that something you might want to do?
Beautiful.
Yeah, bring it up before you're having sex, because if you introduce the idea during sex, sometimes that works great, but sometimes it can be a train wreck.
Okay, so previously when I was sexually active with men that I wanted to do anal play with, I would say, have you ever tried anal sex? And then they'll be like, they would say, I don't mind trying. And then I don't know why they assume it's on me. And I say, no, it's on you. I want to do it to you.
Yeah.
And okay, so I bring it up, and then what next?
Well, and so the second important thing is that when I'm talking about anal play, I'm not talking about anal intercourse. I think anal intercourse is a lot of fun. It's a great thing if you enjoy it. But in my view, any erotic anal contact counts as anal play. So playing around the outside while you give your partner a blowjob is anal play. Tickling around somebody's anus while you're having intercourse in doggy style position, that's also anal play. And I think once we realize that there's all of these other ways to enjoy anal play in addition to anal intercourse, suddenly it takes a lot of the pressure off. For many people, anal touch is a nice add-on. Like maybe they enjoy it while receiving a blowjob. And that's fine. That doesn't mean that they want anything inside. So taking a big view of what anal play means is also going to take the pressure off. And that's really important because the more pressure you put on your partner to have anal intercourse, the more difficult it's going to be for them to actually enjoy it.
Any other quick tips just before the break?
Get your partner turned on first. Do something that you already know they enjoy. Oral sex, kissing, flirting, dirty talk. The more aroused they are, the more pleasure they're going to get from anal touch.
Okay. So one of the things about anal is I'm glad you mentioned this. Anal sex is not necessarily anal intercourse. You don't have to really go in. You can just play on the outside and also around. And you mentioned just now already that that's because it's our anus is just full of nerve endings. One of the things I like to mention to my clients when they are very puzzled talking about anal play is I explain. It's just like how it feels when your vagina is stimulated. The first 1/3 of the vagina is the most sensitive, and therefore, even if you just stimulate the outside and even a little bit in, it actually feels good.
There's a lot of pleasure potential there. And for some people, they like anal touch just on its own. Other people, it's always an add-on to something else. And it's not that one is good and the other is bad. It's just the way that different people's bodies work.
Yeah, it's just a preference. And so we're talking about anal play here with Charlie Glickman, and we're having awesome anal sex here. And he just covered 3 quick tips. First one is check if your partner wants to do it. The second is to understand it's not really about anal intercourse, it's about play. And the third one is to get your partner turned on first. If you're interested in what we are talking about, you definitely want to try out, definitely want to read Charlie's book, The Ultimate Guide to Prostate Pleasure, Erotic Explorations for Men and Their Partners, and you can find out more about his work by going to his website, charlieglickman.com, as well as his other website, Make Sex Easy. So his Twitter and Facebook, you can find him at Charlie Glickman as well. That's Glickman. And we are waiting for the break to come up. And I just want to say that anal sex is, because of where I am at in Singapore, it is very close to Malaysia, and where anal sex is illegal. And actually that probably makes it even more interesting and exciting to us. So more with Charlie after this break.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millisers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Looking for inspiration?
Want to be inspired?
Not sure where to go?
Find Mark and Kim every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on Inspired Living.
Topics will elevate consciousness and range from metaphysics to the human and social experience and all things spiritual.
Welcome to an inspired community that offers support, encouragement, and new ways of thinking. You are the inspired and the inspiration.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake. Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
Back to Eros Evolution, where sexuality and spirituality meets. We're talking about awesome anal sex with Charlie Glickman, and he was talking that anal play is really about pleasure, and that whether you are male or female, or that we all have the same nerve endings when it comes to our anus. So Charlie, could you tell us a little bit more about anal anatomy?
Absolutely. So the anus is actually made up of 2 rings of muscle, about an inch to an inch and a quarter, or 2.5 to 3 centimeters apart. The external muscle, the first one that you come to if you're inserting a finger or a toy, that one is made up of what they call skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is the muscle that you can consciously move, like when you move your arms or when you wiggle your feet or your toes. It's called skeletal muscle because it moves your bones, it moves your skeleton. And you can consciously control it. The internal muscle is made up of smooth muscle. Smooth muscle is the stuff that's in our blood vessels, it's in our organs, it's in the irises of our eyes. Those are muscles that are controlled by your involuntary nervous system. You don't have complete control over them. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't learn to relax them in the same way that if you study yoga or if you meditate, you can learn to relax your body. But it does mean that if you're nervous or you're stressed out, your body is going to tighten up, and that's not something that you can consciously control. And it doesn't matter where the stress is coming from. If you've had a bad day at work, if you've been stuck in traffic for 2 hours, or you're nervous about anal play being painful, your ass is going to tighten up. There's a reason why people who are stressed out all the time are sometimes called tight asses.
Yes.
It's actually literally true.
Yes.
So rather than telling your partner, oh, hey, baby, just relax, what you need to do is create the conditions that make relaxation possible. So, for example, having a sexy atmosphere, making sure that there's no pressure. The more pressure you put on your partner to have anal intercourse, the more their body's going to tighten up. The more you can help them relax and breathe and take long, slow, deep breaths, the easier it's going to be. And rather than telling them to breathe, what works better is for you to breathe along with them, because the more relaxed you are in your touch, the more they're going to be able to feel that in your hands. So it's all about relaxation. It's not about stretching anybody open. And this is one of the reasons why I tell people not to copy porn. I think porn can be a lot of fun for some people, but what they don't show you in those movies is that they are warmed up before they get in front of the camera.
Yes.
And I talk to people all the time who feel inadequate or who have had painful anal sex experiences because they're trying to copy something that they saw in a movie. So don't do that. Learning to have sex from porn is like learning to drive from watching a car chase movie. You're going to get hurt.
Yeah, I consider porn stars like Hollywood actors. They are entertainers and they're performers. They're like Olympian champions. So they're very, very in touch with their bodies. They're super fit. And so definitely we shouldn't be doing what they're doing because, we can get hurt.
Yeah, you really can. In the same way that if you try to copy what you see an athlete do, you might get hurt.
Okay, so you mentioned skeletal muscle and you mentioned smooth muscle. That's a skeletal muscle, what we can control with our pelvic floor squeezers on the outside, and then smooth muscle on the inside. So is this the internal and external sphincter?
Right. So the external muscle is the skeletal muscle. The internal muscle is smooth, and they're about an inch apart from each other. Inch and a half. So the other thing is when the receiver takes long, slow, deep breaths, their body is going to be more relaxed. That's going to make inserting something easier. But even before you get to inserting something, I want you to take a nice long time just touching around the outside. You can do circles with your fingertips. You can do a gentle tickling motion. You can stroke your thumb up and down over the opening. You can actually feel when somebody's body starts to relax. And that's what I'm looking for here, is I want you to be able to feel your partner relax rather than demanding that they do.
So Charlie, can you talk a little bit about the the trigger, of feeling like you need to poop when your internal sphincter is being touched?
Well, so one of the big fears that comes up for people is anal play going to get messy? Now, there's a couple of things that I need to say about that. One is that the rectum, the last 6 to 8 inches of your digestive system, is not a holding tank. There really shouldn't be anything there until you have that feeling of needing to go to the bathroom. The difficulty is that sometimes people take medications that affect their digestion, or sometimes people's diet maybe isn't so good. Bodies are unpredictable. So if you make anal play a regular part of your sexual repertoire, sooner or later, shit is going to happen. Now, some ways that you can deal with that: you can rinse out beforehand with an enema. You can also put a dark towel down on the bed so that if things do get a little messy, it's easy to clean up. I'm a big fan of using gloves that you can buy at pretty much any drugstore. That's a really nice way to make sure that you don't have to worry. All of these steps make it a little bit easy in order to not stress about things getting messy.
Sure. So when what would you suggest when someone has this ick factor around anything relating to poop? What would you suggest besides these tips?
Well, a couple of things. One is, I think it's good to acknowledge that a lot of people, when we're children, a lot of people get shamed into toilet training, and we often carry that shame moving forward. The second thing is that it's true that we do need to be a little bit more careful about cleanliness with anal play. We don't want to go from anal to vaginal sex, for example. But, if you have a pair of gloves on, you just take the gloves off and your hands are clean.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Yeah. So.
And then the last thing I just want to say is you also want to make sure that you have plenty of lubricant.
Yes.
I personally favor silicone lubricants because they last a long time. They don't dry out. If you are not using condoms, then you can also use oil-based products, and I find that coconut oil often works really well.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the different types of lubricants on the market, because I'm sure there are listeners who are not quite aware of the types of lubricant and what silicone lubricants are like.
Sure. So silicone lubricants, there's a few different kinds of lubes these days. The water-based lubricants they have a tendency to dry out. But the nice thing about them is you just get in the shower and rinse them away. They're very easy to clean. Silicone lubricants like Eros and Pure and Swiss Navy and Wet, the silicone doesn't ever dry out, which makes them really good for anal play. They're hypoallergenic. They last a long time. They do require soap and water to clean up, though. And because they don't dry out, if you spill it on the kitchen floor, you want to make sure you wipe it up with a paper towel, because it will be slippery in a week if you come back to it. So you want to make sure not to spill it anywhere.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So anything else that you want to mention around anal play?
Well, I think there are I think 90% of successful anal play is in your hands. And that doesn't mean that you spend 90% of your time touching with your hands, but rather if you can learn how to get the massage techniques done, you're going to have a much greater chance of success. And my favorite place to learn those, besides my workshops, is eroticmassage.com. It's a subscription website, but it's got an amazing library of videos about how to do erotic touch. And there's 3 videos that I recommend. One of them is called Anal Massage for Relaxation. Another one is called Anal Massage for Relaxation and Pleasure. And then the third one, I'm not remembering the title of, but it was created by Jaya, who is a sexological body worker in California. Yep. But her video is excellent. I think it's just called Anal Play for Women. But if you watch those 3 videos, you will learn so many different ways to get your partner warmed up, and it's going to take your anal sex to a whole nother level.
So I'm just wondering, because you are a sexological body worker and I have also attended the training, do you find that the massage strokes for the vagina is very similar to the anus?
Some of them are very similar, but because the anatomy is different, especially around the opening, the vagina doesn't have a sphincter muscle around the opening, for example. So there are strokes that work the same, and then there are some that are very, very different.
I see. So sometimes I tell my clients a good starting point is to actually remember what they like done to them in their vagina and do similar things to the anus. I also encourage both men and women to touch their own anus and play with themselves so as to know what they could possibly do that would be pleasurable for their partner.
I think that's a great way to start. And actually, I think anybody who wants to be on the giving side of anal play, it's a good idea to also be on the receiving side so that you know what it feels like. In much the same way that, if you are learning to cook, you want to taste your own food to make sure that you know what you're doing. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is to do something to someone that you're very unintentional about, that you didn't mean to hurt that person, and you just didn't even try it on yourself.
Exactly. And anal play can go from amazing to ouchy very, very quickly. So it's good to know what that feels like.
Yeah. So we're coming out for a break. If you're interested in what we're talking about, be sure to check out Charlie's book, The Ultimate Guide to Prostate Pleasure. Let me tell you, this is really a must read. This is highly recommended. So more with Charlie after this break.
Bringing a more conscious lifestyle to your world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
What if living didn't have to be so serious?
What if you could move beyond your problems with greater confidence and ease than you've ever imagined?
Throw your labels out the window and join the Irreverent Therapist for practical tips and a very different way of approaching the changes you would like to create.
Marilyn Bradford
and Pam Hodling
have empowered hundreds of people to come out of self-judgment, quit looking to experts, and begin to create the lives they desire.
Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern on the Irreverent Therapist Show.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. Om Times Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single Om Times endeavor. Host your show with Om Times Radio Network. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at Om Times Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. Om Times Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business. Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on Om Times Radio.
You are listening to Eros Evolution on the Om Times Radio Network, and you can listen to this show right now by going to this link, omtimes.com/mobile. With this link, you'll be able to listen to the show without needing to download any app. It's really quite convenient. And we're with Charlie Glickman, and just before break, we were talking about anal anatomy and some of the do's and don'ts when it comes to anal play. We were talking about lubricants and how and where you can go to get better with your hands. And we have been sharing some very good tips with you guys in case you are really nervous about doing this. Let me assure you, this is very important when it comes to pleasure and also relaxation. So, when we talk about anal play, we often talk about sex toys and how we can incorporate them. Instead of using our fingers, maybe we can use toys. So, Charlie, what do you have to say with regards to sex toys?
I think there's a lot of great anal toys these days. A couple of different general categories. Well, first off, a lot of people like vibrators. The nerve endings of the anus often respond really, really well to vibrators. The important thing with them is to make sure that anything you insert into your or your partner's anus is smooth, so there's no rough edges to cause irritation. And it also needs to have a base, or a flared base, because if you insert something all the way into the vagina, there's nowhere for it to go. It's going to come back out. But it's actually pretty easy to accidentally put something all the way into somebody's butt, and then it gets lost. And you hear stories about this all the time. I have friends who are paramedics or work in the emergency room. These things really do happen. The best way to make sure it doesn't happen is to use a toy that is anal safe. And then the last thing is you want to make sure that your anal toy has is made from a material that is easy to clean. So you want something that's made out of glass or silicone or something like that so that it's easy to clean, or cover your toy with a condom and then you don't need to worry about it.
Okay, good. So,
and then, once you have your toy, if you're using a vibrator, you can massage around the outside. You can insert it if it's a toy that's designed for that. Lots of fun anal vibrators. Two other kinds of anal toys you can use. Well, you can certainly use a dildo. Dildos can be used both vaginally and anally. The thing with dildos is that if you let go of them, they will start to slide back out. So they're more for an in and out motion. Butt plugs, on the other hand, or anal plugs, they have kind of a narrow neck and a wider bulb shape. And the idea is that you insert the toy, and then the two rings of the anal muscle are squeezing down on the neck of the toy, and then the bulb is inside holding it in place. Anal plugs don't create that in and out sensation. They create more of a sensation of fullness or pressure that a lot of people really enjoy. So yeah, lots of options when it comes to your anal toys.
Yeah. I can think of anal beads and also prostate massager.
Yeah, so anal beads, they're designed to be inserted with lubricant, and the way that most people use them is that as they're getting close to orgasm or during orgasm, you grab the string and you pull them out, and that creates a really wonderfully sexy sensation for a lot of folks. And then the prostate toys, I think it's wonderful that we're seeing more and more toys specifically designed for the prostate. I have to say one of my favorites is the Eros, Aneros, Aneros.com. It's designed to be a hands-free prostate stimulator. So yeah, it's wonderful to see that we're getting more high-quality toys out there.
Indeed.
And there's one other company I do want to mention. It's a new company, just highlights how we're seeing better quality products come out. It's called B-Vibe. So if you go to bvibe.com, they have this plug called the rimming plug. If you're familiar with the rabbit vibrators with the rotating pearls for the vagina, the B-Vibe, they've created something very similar, but for the anus.
Nice.
And I think it's wonderful how we're seeing better technology and just better design coming out these days.
Fantastic. So you mentioning prostate massager, and people might be wondering, where is the prostate?
Oh, now that's one of my favorite questions. So the prostate is, if you insert a finger into a man's anus, and you curl up towards the belly button. So if he's on his back, you curl up. If he's on his hands and knees, you curl down. And it's about 3 inches inside the opening. So right from the beginning of the opening, it's about 3 inches inside. The prostate is part of what produces semen during arousal. So what happens is, as a guy gets turned on, the prostate starts to get bigger as it's filling up with fluid, and then during ejaculation, it squeezes all of that fluid out, and that's where semen comes from. So you might not be able to find somebody's prostate until he's already turned on, because it gets bigger. But the texture you're looking for, it feels kind of like a ripe plum. So you're looking for something that has that firm but slightly soft texture like a ripe piece of fruit. And then as far as massaging the prostate, probably the 3 strokes that people like the most, there's the come hither motion, where you're curling your finger. You can also tap the prostate kind of like you're typing on a keyboard, like that kind of pressure. And then you can also do firm, steady pressure, like you're pressing the tip of somebody's nose. And with all of those, you can combine them with stimulating his penis with your other hand, or he can stroke his penis while you focus on his prostate. Lots of fun ways to do that. And I should also mention that some women say that they actually enjoy G-spot stimulation through anal play because it gives them a better angle. So it's worth trying to explore G-spot play through anal penetration too, and see if that's something that your partner enjoys.
Great. Thank you so much for this explanation about prostate, where the prostate is, and the different kinds of vibrators and toys that we can use for anal play.
There's a lot. And for more detail about the prostate, of course, my book, The Ultimate Guide to Prostate Pleasure, but you can also check out the book's website at prostatepleasureguide.net. And it has a lot of these tips for anal penetration, as well as how to find the prostate. So that'll get you started. And then the book goes into much more detail.
So can you repeat the website again? Prostatepleasureguide.net?
That's the one, prostatepleasureguide.net.
Okay, awesome. I will definitely check that out. So I want to ask something very specific to pain, because I do get people saying doesn't matter what their partner do, they still have pain and sometimes even bleeding when they do anal sex or anal play. Do you have any other suggestions besides massaging a lot, using a lot of lubricants, any other tips that you can share?
Well, yes. The most important thing is that if anal play is painful, stop what you're doing. Don't endure, don't push through, don't try to put up with it. That doesn't mean that you have to stop altogether. It might mean that you need a different position, or you need to go slower, or you need more lube. But if anal play is ever uncomfortable or if it's painful, something needs to change. And if you are forcing yourself to put up with it, it's just going to get worse and worse.
Yeah. So you definitely don't recommend anything along like numbing cream or like gels?
No, I don't, because the numbing creams, it's like when you go to the dentist and they give you Novocaine. You might not feel the pain, but afterwards you might realize, oh, I just bit the inside of my cheek, and I didn't realize it because I was numb. Numbing creams don't keep you from having damage. It just means that you don't feel it when it happens. And I've talked to people who actually hurt themselves because they were using numbing creams. So I don't recommend it. If you can't have anal play without discomfort, then maybe this just isn't for you. And that's also fine. there are so many ways to enjoy sex. There's so many different kinds of pleasure. Anal play doesn't work for everybody. So don't stress about it, and you try oral sex, try mutual masturbation, try intercourse. There's a million other things to do.
Yeah. So just now we talked about how there are people who are tight asses. How about anal massage for relaxation?
It's a fantastic way to help the body relax. And actually, what I have found, as a sexological body worker, I do provide anal massage sessions for relaxation, and I have actually had people fall asleep on the table because it just felt that good. So, I think the challenge or the trick with anal massage is that you want to take it really slowly. In fact, if you think you're going slowly enough, try slowing down even more, because it's really easy to think that you're going slowly enough, but it turns out that you aren't. But yeah, I have literally had people fall asleep while receiving anal massage, and it is a wonderfully relaxing experience.
Yes. So recently I tried anal sex with my partner, one of my partners, my new partner, who is now my old partner. And we tried it for the first time. I was very nervous. And I said, trust me, I have had some training. I know what I'm doing. And he was surprised that it wasn't what he had expected. I don't know what he was expecting. It was not what he expected, was what he said. And then the other thing that he said was he was surprised how important it is to be relaxed. And I was explaining to him, the more relaxed you are, the more you will feel. And really, anal pleasure is a lot to do with relaxation. So he had a pretty interesting experience. And it's definitely not just about sex, it's also about relaxation. So more with Charlie after this break.
Free your mind with Om Times Radio, IOM FM.
Come heal yourself. What is healing? Healing is nothing but connecting with your all-knowing higher self that already has solutions to all your problems and is always there to guide you. Through this show, we help you to connect with that you are and tap into that innate potential you have to transform your life and fly high. Please join me, your host Monica Goyal, every Sunday 7 p.m. Pacific. Namaste.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
And I'm Alicia Isaacs-Howes.
And I'm Catherine Glass.
And we're the Psychic Angel Channelers. You can find us every week here on Om Times Radio at Angel Talk Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. Om Times Radio. IOM FM.
This is the last 15 minutes of our show today. And I just want to remind listeners that you can listen to the first show that I had with Charlie Glickman, and it was episode 47 on December 3rd, and it was titled Getting the Sex You Want. We are into the last 15 minutes, and just before break, we were talking about all things relating to anal play, including vibrators, sex toys, where's the prostate. We talked about not pushing through the pain, and we also talked about how you can begin to do a prostate massage. So I just want to ask Charlie, before we end the show, what you see as the link between anal play and with spirituality, because this show always explores the link between sex and spirituality.
Oh, one of my favorite things to talk about. I actually, the anus is the root chakra. It's the first chakra. It makes sense to me that when we feel anxious or stressed out or scared, the anus tightens up, because those are all aspects of safety. And so there's something really marvelous about being tuned into that part of your body to be able to tune into your full spirituality. The way that I see it, if you're not present in your anus, you're not being fully embodied. And so there's a way in which when you are able to tune into that part of your body, whether you're doing it for relaxation, whether you're doing it for pleasure, or just simply as an embodiment practice, it really does literally open you up to an entirely different level of spiritual experience.
Yeah, beautiful.
So,
Thank you so much.
There's very direct links between the two.
Great. Also, I am thinking of people who are having constipation and diarrhea. If our bodies function better, then everything works better.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree.
So let's talk a little bit about anal intercourse, because we've been talking about anal play, we're talking about prostate massage. How about anal intercourse?
Well, I think before you switch to anal intercourse, whether you are doing it with a strap-on or with a penis, you need to make sure that the person who's receiving is fully ready for that. And by that I mean that they've been able to accommodate 2 or 3 fingers comfortably before they switch to a penis or a dildo. Because you don't have as much fine control over your penis. It's a lot harder to make those small adjustments. So you really need to make sure that the receiver is fully ready and relaxed and open. The most important thing is that if you're going to be having anal intercourse in a face-down position like doggy style, you want to make sure that you're not getting any lubricant from the anus down onto the vulva, because if it goes inside the vagina, it can cause a really unfortunate yeast infection. The positions that work for anal intercourse are very much like the positions that work for vaginal intercourse. So missionary or doggy style or cowgirl or cowboy. One big difference is that if you want to have anal intercourse in missionary position, put a pillow under your partner's hips to lift them up a little bit. The anus is further back, so having them up a little bit higher is going to make it a lot easier. So that's going to make a big, big difference. And some people, after they orgasm, if they're the receiver, sometimes their anus can tighten down quite a lot. So if your partner has had an orgasm and they do clamp down, that's a good time to hold still or even come out and switch it up to something else. Because once their body tightens up like that, they might not enjoy continuing at that point.
Great. It's just that you mentioned that because some people can take it personal, like, oh, tightening up, so you don't like what I'm doing, or, I'm causing you pain. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything personal. It could just be the way their body responds.
Yes. So you've been you've been in this field for the last 25 years, and just before show I connected with you and I asked you how sexological body work added to your understanding of anal play.
Yeah, I, as a sexological body worker and a somatic sex coach, I find that learning how to touch somebody from a place of being centered and grounded and present is very different from touching somebody from a place of high arousal and excitement. There's nothing wrong with coming at it from a place of high arousal, but I have learned as a sexological body worker how much a difference it makes to be able to come at things more mindfully and more calmly. And this is something that I teach in my workshops. I actually teach a workshop called Awesome Anal Sex. And the workshop includes a live demonstration of all of these massage techniques, because I find that you can learn it better by watching it than by talking about it.
Yeah, some things you just need to see.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, some things you just need to see for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, and I have workshops coming up in Portland, Oregon, and Toronto, and Phoenix, Arizona, and Detroit, Michigan. It's all on my website, actually on both of my websites, but go to makesexeasy.com and you'll see the workshop calendar.
Yeah. So I'm on your website right now, and you have a very impressive list of events. makesexeasy.com, under workshops and events, there's a whole list of them, and people who are interested to follow your work can also subscribe to be on your mailing list.
Yes, yeah, well, and they can subscribe. They can also, you can contact me through Facebook or email. The contact forms on my website go right into my inbox. So yeah, I'm very easy to find.
Fantastic. So I like what you're saying, that your workshop includes a live demonstration, because it's, like I say monkey see, monkey do. So exactly. you see it, you get a much better idea rather than from just reading or even listening to a podcast, because then you really get not just what you see, but also like the sense of the style and the flavor and the mindfulness and the slowness that you're mentioning.
Yeah, I actually find that it's kind of like a cooking show where you're hearing somebody describe what they're doing while you're watching it, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, I'm looking at your pleasuring the penis, mind-blowing techniques of erotic massage, and I want to attend that.
Awesome. Yeah, come to California for that one.
Singapore is quite far away.
Well, if you want to bring Caroline and me out to Singapore, we'd love that too.
That would be awesome. I'm not sure I can afford that.
Yeah, someday we'll make it happen.
We must meet one day. And is there any last words that you have with regards to anal play?
I guess the most important thing is, as enthusiastic as I am about it, I know I said this once before, but, for some people, anal play is a side dish. For some people, it's a main course. And for some people, they don't like it at all. And it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your partner. It's just the way that different people work. So give it a try, see what happens, and discover what works for you and your body. That's really the most important thing when it comes to sex.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. It's so important to keep repeating these messages so that we don't shame ourselves just because we don't like something. And there's so many things we can do and so many things we can learn. So I hope for listeners out there, you're learning a lot about awesome anal sex today from Charlie Glickman. And his website is charlieglickman.com. That's GLICKMAN. And you can follow him on Twitter, Facebook, and you can also go to his other website, makesexeasy.com. So let me look at. So I just want to add that Charlie sees clients of all genders, sexual orientation, and relationship styles at his Seattle, Washington office, and also over Skype. You can get in touch with him to schedule your get acquainted call and find out how he can help you to make sex easy. This has been Dr. Martha Tara Lee. I'm from Eros Coaching, and you can follow me and my work at Eros Coaching. That's eroscoaching.com. And next week I have another guest, and we are going to be talking about sex and disordered eating with August. And she's the host and creator of Girl Bonner, and we'll be discussing disordered eating and its impact on our sexuality. August overcame decades of poor body image and severe eating disorder, where she was diagnosed with when she was working as an international model. With her background now with nutritional science and recovery under her belt, August knows the complex complications of disordered eating and the bedroom, as well as ways to heal. So if you are interested in this show, do check out next week's episode. Remember, you can go to my website to also look at all the past episodes. Just do a simple Google, Eros Evolution at a glance, and you'll be able to listen to all the different episodes that we've had. And today, it has been episode 68. This has been this has been March 25th, and my name is Dr. Martha Tara Lee again. And do keep tuning in to Eros Evolution. This is where sex and spirituality meets. And it's important to acknowledge the importance between the two, because in this modern day and age, we sometimes forget that sex is not just physical, it's emotional, it's mental, and it's definitely spiritual. So thank you, and let's see you next week.